Let's call this meeting of the Aurora City Council for August 13, 2024 to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Garza.
Here.
Alderman Masiacos.
Present.
Alderman Donnell.
Here.
Alderman Franco.
Here.
Alderman Seville.
Here.
Alderman Tolliver.
Here.
Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderman Bug.
Here.
Alderwoman Bade.
Here.
Alderman Lash.
Present.
Alderman Warman.
Here.
Mayor Irvin's present.
Before we go on, it seems as though that Alderwoman Garza has had this issue with her microphone for the last 3 meetings. So if we have anybody in IT here, can we please address that issue so it's not a problem the next meeting that we have? So we don't have to keep going through this every time we go to the meeting. I'm sure she wants to speak into a very clear microphone just like the rest of us and not have that sound screaming. So let's take care of that so we don't have that issue again. Is there a motion to approve the appointment of Sergeant Arms for this meeting? Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Lash. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries by voice vote. Mr. Muhammad.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight, leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance is one of Aurora's own who took a journey from intern to alderman after your vote tonight. Mr. Dan Barrero will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance right here. Thank you so much. If we can all please stand. Round of applause for Dan Barrero. Thank you.
You can turn it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If our guests can please remain standing. Leading us in the invocation is Dr. Jayashri Sarathi, Chair of the Balaji Temple's Youth and Education Committee, a professor and director of graduate studies in the Department of Biological Sciences at Benedictine University. And as we prepare to celebrate India's Independence Day on Thursday, we thank you so much for being here with us today, Dr. Sarathi.
As we start the meeting tonight, let us pray to free us from injustice and destruction. Pray for health and well-being of all, and pray to find peace in our hearts and beyond, and pray for unity. As is our tradition, Hindu tradition, we start our prayer always with Lord Ganesha, who removes obstacles. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarva Karyeshu Sarvata. This is a universal prayer for hope, peace, and unity. Swasti Prajapya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Go Brahmanebhya Subhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May there be abundance for all. May leaders wisely protect the earth. May there always be well-being for animals and the wise. May the entire world be happy. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sarathi. Round of applause for Dr. Sarathi, please. Thank you so much. You may be seated.
All right, let's go on to the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs presentation. Mr. Muhammad.
Yeah, Mayor, if you would please join us down front, along with Alderwoman Bade. We will be celebrating a number of flag raisings this week. The independence of Pakistan is tomorrow. We'll be celebrating with that flag raising, the inaugural. And then on Thursday, we will celebrate our annual Indian flag raising ceremony at One Aurora Plaza. Alderwoman Bade has been so gracious. It's always helping us to lead that. Tonight's invocation led by Dr. Sarathi from Balaji Temple, one of the premier Hindu temples in the region, bringing in thousands of guests per week to the city of Aurora. Thank you, Dr. Sarathi, for being here with us tonight and for joining us on Thursday at the flag raising to lead the invocation there as well. We have a presentation for you. If you would please join the Alderwoman and the Mayor.
City of Aurora Certificate of Appreciation. Mayor Richard C. Irvin and the Aurora City Council sincerely thank you. Dr. Jayashri Saharthi for serving our community, helping to build Aurora together, and for selflessly giving of your time to lead the invocation on behalf of Balaji Temple at the Aurora City Council meeting on Tuesday, August 13, 2024. Thank you.
Again, Dr. Sarathi will be leading the invocation at the Indian flag raising on Thursday, August 15th at 11 a.m. One more round of applause for Dr. Jayashri Sarathi, Professor and Director of Graduate Studies at Benedictine University and the Chair of the Youth and Education Committee at Balaji Temple. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Tonight, we are also honored to have with us 3 staff members. Last month, we did our quarterly staff recognition. And we have so many staff members doing so many amazing things. We're going to add on an additional staff recognition this quarter, recognizing 3 of our staff members who are here with us this evening. The first one, presented to a staff member who's received the ISA Certified Arborist, the International Society of Arboricultural Certified Arborist Credential. The ISA certification is a process that tests and certifies the achievement of a professional level of knowledge and skill to care for trees. An ISA certified arborist is a tree care professional who has attained an expert level of knowledge in areas such as tree biology, diagnosis, maintenance practices, safety, and other subject and practice areas within the tree care profession. We are honored to have with us tonight our street labor supervisor. Big round of applause, Mr. Nicholas De Leon. ISA certified arborist.
It is my honor to read this Mayor's Award of Excellence, which will be honorably presented to Nicholas De Leon, Street Labor Supervisor, for being a City of Aurora team member who goes above and beyond. Congratulations on obtaining your International Society of Arboricultural Certificate 1. Mayor Richard C. Irvin.
Staff members going above and beyond to serve our community with excellence. So we're very proud of Nick and his most recent certification as an ISA certified arborist. Another round of applause for Nick De Leon. Our next recipient of the American Institute for Certified Planning Certification. The AICP certification is the only nationwide independent verification of planner certifications. The credential provides assurance to employees and colleagues that this individual employee has the academic qualifications, the relevant work experience, the ethical integrity, professional expertise, and leadership skills to succeed in the profession of planning. We have with us Associate Planner Atifa Ghazalnawi.
This Mayor's Award of Excellence is honorably presented to Atifa Ghaznawi, Associate Planner, for being a City of Aurora team member who goes above and beyond. Congratulations on obtaining your American Institute of Certified Planning certification. You make us proud.
Yes, awesome. Also receiving his AICP certification is Mr. Stephen Broadwell, a planner in the division. He can't be with us tonight, but he's watching on YouTube Live. Let's give Steve a round of applause along with Atifa. Thank you. And our final recipient tonight, you see she's all donned out in her regalia. She is our fire inspector who recently received her bachelor's degree from Southern New Hampshire University. Wait a minute, there's more. She graduated summa cum laude.
Whoa.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, keep the applause going for Anna Pace, fire inspector.
So I would love to read this Mayor's Award of Excellence that will be honorably presented to Anna Pace, Fire Inspector, for being a City of Aurora team member who goes above and beyond. Congratulations on obtaining your bachelor's degree from Southern New Hampshire University. You make Aurora proud.
Yes, yes. First generation college student here, first generation. That's awesome. We're going to ask Atifa and Nicholas to join us back with your award as well, so we can for a group photo. Another round of applause for Nick De Leon, ISA Certified Arborist, Atifa Ghaznawi, an AICP Certified Planner, And Anna Pace received her bachelor's degree from Southern New Hampshire University, summa cum laude. Big round of applause for all of our staff members who will go above and beyond. Thank you and congratulations.
All right, that concludes our Mayor's Office of Community Affairs presentation. There are no mayor appointments, so I know many people are here for the presentations this evening. So I will give those folks that were here for the presentations and would like to leave the opportunity to file out now. Now, you are very welcome to stay and participate in the whole meeting, but I know folks are busy and may have to leave, so I'll give you a few minutes to file out. It appears that those folks that want to leave have already left the chambers, so we will continue on with the rest of our meeting. Madam Clerk, and we'll go on to public comment. Do we have any members of the public wishing to offer public comment?
We do, Mr. Mayor.
Will you please read the rules of public comment?
Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, all persons shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the council. Under our rules, any person may address the city council for up to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for all public comment. No person other than the timekeeper or the chair for the purpose of maintaining order may interrupt a person recognized for public comment during his or her comments. Members of the city council shall not engage with nor respond to a speaker during the time set aside for public comment. Staff is directed to follow up with members of the public with respect to any concerns raised during public comment within the scope of the city's authority following the adjournment of this meeting.
Madam Clerk, will you call the first person wishing to offer public comment, please?
Christina Garcia.
Ms. Garcia, will you approach and please use the podium to your left? Ms. Garcia, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Christina Garcia, and I've been a Ward 9 resident for the past 17 years. During this time, I've consistently advocated for traffic calming strategy measures within my subdivision, only to be met with repeated denials. I'm a mother of 2 sons attending Fisher Middle School and Waubonsie Valley High School, and as a member of Aurora Strong Towns Together, I stand before you today to address the glaring inequity in our community. Subdivisions like Lakewood, Amber Fields, Summit Fields, and the Wheatlands located off Eola have prioritized with enhanced pedestrian safety measures. These include yellow pedestrian safety crossing signs, advanced warning signs, and even a crosswalk with a blinking beacon triggered by pedestrians and cyclists. These neighborhoods are newer and have higher median home values ranging from $400,000 to $500,000. In contrast, the residents of Georgetown, Briarwood, and Colony Lakes who send their children to Fisher and Waubonsie feel unsafe allowing their children to bike or walk to school. The recent incident where a young child was struck by a car on Middlebury and Montgomery Road and the 204 safe path to school from the Briarwood subdivision underscores this urgent issue. For over a year, Aurora Strong Towns Together has requested traffic calming strategies, only to be met with vague promises of future action. I must ask, how many more lives will be lost before this council takes action? I submit evidence of the city's inconsistent approach. On Long Grove and Eola, recently, near the intersection where our group requested a crosswalk and a pedestrian refugee island, the city installed pedestrian crossing signs without an actual crosswalk. This is misleading and dangerous. Furthermore, when I raised concerns about drivers disregarding pedestrian signals on Eola and Ogden, the Aurora Police Department cited staff is shorting as a barrier to increased enforcement. However, they were quick to suggest ticketing students for jaywalking at the Long Grove-Eola intersection. I commend the city's effort for reducing DUIs, but I implore you to demonstrate equal commitment to pedestrian safety, especially for our school zones. Aurora Strong Towns has brought forth multiple proposals on how to implement traffic calming strategies in our area in the past year. This council has not taken any action, but if this council does not act swiftly, the next injury or fatality is on your conscience. Aurora must translate tangible actions to prioritize safety for all residents, regardless of our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Mr. Bauer, I would like you, Deputy Mayor Trujillo, whoever is representative from the Aurora Police Department Traffic Division, as well as I'm sure Alderman Bug would like to know what you guys are going to be talking about and be involved, to speak to that young lady before she leaves this evening so we can find out what the issues are and address those in that community. Thank you. Call the next speaker.
Catherine Seco.
Ms. Segal, if you could use that podium over there. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. You have 3 minutes to speak, Ms. Segal, whenever you can begin.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Seco, and I live at 1100 Foreign Lane, which is directly across the street from the temple. After last week's meeting with the Committee of the Whole, Mayor Irvin suggested that some of the members meet with neighborhood people to address our concerns regarding the expansion of the temple, which we did unofficially just yesterday afternoon. I voiced my concern regarding the constant traffic in and out of the temple and how this expansion would suggest that it would greatly increase. Even though the temple people say that they are not planning on increasing their membership, it makes me question why they would need an expansion then. Why not remodel the space they already have if it's a simple matter of how it could be used? So if that is not the choice that they've made, I think it would be fair to assume that they do in fact intend to accommodate a much larger attendance, such as some of the events that they have held regularly over the years since the temple was built, when hundreds, even thousands of worshipers have come from all over the country. If that is the case, I would also assume that they would be required to provide additional parking, especially since I have seen on several occasions many cars parked in the field south of their drive, in the grassy area in front of the temple on the outside of the fence, and also along the street where there are no parking signs during some of the events that they have held. I, along with several of my neighbors, are concerned about the traffic that the temple adds to our neighborhood, especially since we are never informed of when we might expect more than usual. Most churches and religious buildings in Aurora have a marquee sign that lets neighbors know what to expect, which goes a long way toward respect and consideration for peaceful enjoyment and well-being of everyone in each vicinity. So I suggested that the temple people could also accommodate our neighborhood likewise, which would also benefit their own members in directing them to actually locating the temple, since so many of them drive right past it and are seen to be availing themselves of our personal driveways to turn around in. I find it odd that of the 375 members that the administrators say they have, that so many of them don't know exactly where the temple actually is. I am also not looking forward to the traffic of heavy construction vehicles for weeks on end during this expansion, because when the temple was first being built, many of those drivers didn't know exactly where it was either, as they repeatedly delivered temple building supplies and equipment to my own driveway. I ask that the council please consider these points when they vote to move forward with this expansion. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, you call the next speaker.
Keith Larson.
Mr. Larson, you have 3 minutes to speak beginning now.
Good evening. My name is Keith Larson, and I've been asking the council to pass a ceasefire resolution to pressure the government to stop collaborating in the genocide currently happening in Gaza. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the council will consider denouncing genocide and many other war crimes, but regardless, the least I can do is continue advocating for Palestinian rights and making sure people know that this genocide did not magically end. I'd like to inform everyone here what our government continues to proudly support and what this council refuses to denounce. 2 weeks ago, far-right Israeli rioters occupied a military base a few miles outside of Gaza in protest against the arrest of 10 Israeli soldiers who were accused of torturing Palestinian hostages by raping them. In response, the Knesset, Israel's parliament, had a meeting to discuss their views on torture of Palestinian hostages. During this meeting, a Knesset member, Milvitsky, who is a member of the ruling Likud party, explicitly said that everything is legitimate in direct response to the question of whether rape is a valid interrogation tactic. Itamar Ben-Gvir, the national security minister, called the rapist soldiers, quote, our best heroes. More recently, a video was leaked showing soldiers at that very military base gang raping Palestinians. In response, the Israeli defense minister and self-described, quote, homophobic fascist, Bezalel Smotrich, demanded an immediate criminal investigation, not against the rapist soldiers, but rather to find out who leaked the video and to punish the whistleblower to the fullest extent of the law. Our government continues sending billions of dollars to genocidal Israel on top of the yearly $3.8 billion we give them as people here in Aurora struggle to pay rent and as our homeless neighbors continue to suffer on the streets. I know the City Council cannot end this genocide or any other genocide. I know the City Council cannot fix the issues in DC, but it is perfectly within the power and rights of this council to advocate for the people of Aurora through direct connections with federal lobbyists and our representatives at the state and federal level. Yet we continue to stay silent. Passing a resolution costs absolutely nothing, and it makes a statement that we in Aurora do not support genocide and state-sponsored rape. I grew up Jewish, and I did not know what Israel was really like until a few years ago when I began to learn for myself. When I learned about Israel's history, it was clear that it far surpassed the limit of what is acceptable. When Israel began openly committing genocide in the wake of October 7th, it was clear that it was well beyond my limit, but City Council does not seem to agree. Rape of Palestinian hostages has been documented for a long time, but now Israeli officials are openly admitting to it and supporting it. Is that not beyond our limit? If we can't say anything about this, then what can we say?
Madam Clerk, call the next speaker.
Alicia Smith.
Ms. Smith, you have 3 minutes to speak, beginning now.
Hello, City of Aurora. My name is Alicia Smith, and I grew up in Aurora and bought a house around the corner from my parents. I'm a resident of Ward 9. I want to thank you for listening. I have spoken in front of this group before and at the Pedestrian Bicyclist Safety Advisory Committee. I do feel that action steps have been taken as a result of reaching out to the City of Aurora. Unfortunately, I feel that those action steps are not enough. Eola Road is extremely unsafe. Remember, I spent almost my whole life in this area. I was here when the pass-through connecting the Eolas, where the big curve is. I lived here when that was constructed. I was in high school. I was 19 when the tragic deaths of the 3 Wabanzi girls rocked the community. I remember several years ago when a dad was killed by young people drag racing down the street on the part of Eola that is more south. And within the last year and a half, a recent Wabanzi graduate has died, a 204 teacher has died, and just a few weeks ago, a dad. And of course, the tragedy right down the street from both Wabanzi and Fisher of the Wabanzi Valley High Schooler. Maybe there are steps in place that I do not know about. Maybe there is a plan to deal with the danger that Eola Road is. If there is, please guide me to where this information would be. I do realize that some pedestrian signs have been put up. Thank you, but I do not think that is enough. I also realize there are some speedometer signs that have been put up. Thank you, but I do not think that is enough. Maybe there is a plan to put a multi-use path on the north side of Ogden, but if there is, I do not know where this information would be and how are our kids supposed to safely walk alongside Ogden Road. I did put in a FOIA to compare the safety of Eola to Orchard Road and Route 59. All 3 roads connect to I-88 to areas in the south, but I only ever hear about the high numbers of accidents on Eola. It is unsafe for children to freely roam our community by Wabanzi Valley and Fisher. When I was a kid, I used to bike down Eola and Montgomery to go to Dairy Queen, Rosati's, the pet store, and the hot dog place. I want kids in our community to be able to do the same, but unfortunately, our community prioritizes cars over pedestrians and cyclists, which makes it unsafe. Please come up with a plan to make Eola Road safer and where it intersects with Ogden, where Wabanzi and Fisher are located. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do you have the list of speakers?
We do, Mr. Mayor. Final speaker is David Rollins.
Mr. Rawlings, you want to? So you do not want to speak? Your 3 minutes? Thank you. All right, that concludes our speakers for this evening. Next, we will hear both the consent agenda and the direct council consent agenda in full. Will the clerk now please read both agendas in full?
(240536), a resolution to award the North Avenue Storm Sewer Extension Project located in Wards 3 and 7 to Superior Excavating in the bid amount of $182,162.00. 240540, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to utilize the Sourcewell and Omnia Cooperative Purchasing Contracts to enter into an agreement with Interiors for Business in the amount of $1,090,000 for furniture at the new Public Works Combined Maintenance Facility. 240553, a resolution authorizing the execution of a contract with Compass Minerals America in the amount of $773,372 and the appropriation and expenditure of MFT funds for an amount up to $1 million for salt purchases. 240558, an ordinance amending the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024. 240580, a resolution approving the appointment of Chris Ragona as Director of Community Services. 240477, a resolution accepting the improvements and maintenance security for Fox Valley Mall redevelopment residential, 4374 Fox Valley Center Drive. 240524, an ordinance for the establishment of Special Service Area Number 219 for stormwater management purposes related to Cyrus 1 Aurora, Deal Road. 240525, an ordinance for the establishment of Special Service Area Number 220 for stormwater management purposes related to U-Haul Center of Aurora and Ogden and Route 59. 240556, a resolution concerning the review of closed executive session meeting minutes. 240557, approval of draft closed session meeting minutes. 240564, approval of the minutes of the Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024 City Council meeting.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Garza, second by Alderman Franco. Before we entertain that motion and second, are there any questions or any motions to remove any items from the consent agenda or direct to council consent agenda? There being no questions or no motions to remove any items, a motion and a second on the floor. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The consent agenda and direct to council consent agenda are both approved. Let's go on to unfinished business. Madam Clerk, will you read the first item under unfinished business?
240254, an ordinance granting revisions to the conditional use permit for a religious institution use on the property located at 1101 Foreign Lane.
Been a motion by Alderman Smith.
Second.
Second by Alderman Franco. Any questions or discussions on this item? Questions or discussion? Alderman Seville.
I believe Ed Sieben has a report to give with a couple of conditions that were agreed upon at last night's meeting.
Mr. Seaman?
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Ed Sieben, Zoning and Planning Director. After our COW meeting at the direction of Mayor Irvin, we were tasked to do two things. One of them was to look at history of any complaints on the property. So we checked with the Customer Service Division and the Property Standards Division. Customer Service has had no complaints on the property since their current record system went into effect in 2016. Property Standards has not had any violations on either 1101 Foreign, which is the temple, or 1125, which is the house. They've only had one violation letter since 2011. That was for some long grass at the house in 2019. The COP officer also indicated that the only recent complaint that the police department had was last year was a call-in for a noise complaint. And just to follow up on that, the mayor also asked that we meet with the neighbors, which we did yesterday. It was myself, Deputy Mayor Trujillo, Alderman Seville, Steve Broadwell of my staff, and about 7 or 8 neighbors and a couple of grandkids. So we had the full crowd. And so we had a good discussion, about an hour-and-a-half meeting, and we did hear their concerns, and because of their concerns, we worked out what we feel is a good solution, some modified conditions for the the item number that is part of the final plan. And if I could just read those modified conditions, that would be, and it is in your Legistar. Number one is that the future parking lot is to be built with Phase 1 and be fully curbed. Originally, this was going to be done with Phase 2, so this will now be done with Phase 1 to take into account the neighbors' concerns with when they have events, especially when they have additional parking and so on. The second item, and that Ms. Seco did bring up in her public comment, number 2 is that the petitioner secure a permit for a new monument sign along Foreign Lane frontage that complies with the applicable provisions per our Chapter 41 of the sign code with Phase 1. So if you look at the property now, they have a long driveway. You really don't see the temple from Foreign Lane. So if you have out-of-town people coming to the temple, it's hard to tell where the entrance is, and there's a lot of long driveways that the neighbors have. So I think that's what a lot of the complaints were. A lot of the outside temple people would come in and pull down the driveway, either turn around, or they would actually pull all the way up and ask for directions. So there is no signage there. So that is the second new condition that we would have. Not only would that give identity to where you pull in for the temple, but as part of that they also have a reader board or an electric reader board that they could also advertise events. So the neighbors know what's going on and everyone else does. So that was
I just have a question about that electric reader board. You know, was there a determination of how that electric reader board is set up so it doesn't affect the neighbors for across the street?
It would have to meet the code.
Gotcha.
Yes.
All right.
City code. And then the last condition stays the same, that the outdoor staircase shall remain as temporary structures and be permanently removed once construction of Phase 2 begins. So those were the two main issues that did come up. We did subsequently talk to the temple representatives, and they are in agreement with those conditions.
Questions on Mr. Seville, Alderman Seville?
I would like to make a motion to accept those two conditions as part of the.
There's actually three with the original.
With the three conditions as he stated.
All right, so.
Second.
All right, so there's a motion, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor,
We have a
Mr.
motion.
Mayor, I believe Mr. Sieben indicated that those items were on 240256.
Correct.
Which is the final plan.
Correct.
So what's before the council at this point is 24254, which is the conditional use.
So, meaning we'll talk about those particular issues and whether or not we, add those in. I'm sure it's going to be a friendly amendment at 240256. Is that correct, Council?
I believe that would be at least from my impression, it appears that the council would be inclined to support those three conditions as an amendment to the proposed plan.
All right. So, those amendments aside, let's just talk about the project as a whole. Do you have any questions on the project as a whole? Based on, what about Alderman Smith?
Just to piggyback on your question with the signage, the light, you said it'll be up to city code, so there won't be so much light that we just got rid of the bumps so that they're not
Correct.
going
Many
into the
churches and
residents.
schools have similar signs.
And
Would have to. St.
okay.
Rita has the same kind of signs. So
Okay.
match St. Rita's.
And everybody's good with that?
Yeah,
All right.
we told them to match St. Rita's.
Okay,
So.
thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman Seville, then we'll come to Alderman Franco.
Did you want me to address last night's meeting now, or when we
Sure.
get to?
Right.
Okay. I just want to say a few words. Ed gave a very good synopsis at our meeting last night. We had very good participation from the neighbors. They were able to voice their concerns for 90 minutes, I think, and then we had a little bit meeting after our meeting in the parking lot too. And I think the reason why, and Ed stating that there wasn't too many official concerns, is because this neighborhood organization, the Northwest Territories, knows, so to speak, their way around City Hall. So instead of calling the 256 info number or maybe the City Hall and have them put it in the system, they knew who to call as staff persons. And so those staff were able to alleviate the concerns and respond in a very good manner over the years, but there was no record of them. And so that's what we learned last night. And so now going forward, the neighborhood will be going through proper channels, besides reaching out to those in the city that they know they can be helped as well. And so, they were able to air their concerns. and we've come to a general consensus as to what needs to occur. And as Ed said, the sign would be more in keeping with what they have at St. Rita's, offering to the public and their parishioners and congregation, and then that possibly not be considered lighted after like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, that there would be no messages flashing, but it would not be a scrolling message as well. So,
Alderman Franco?
So at last meeting, I think I mentioned something about the major event they have per year. Did we ever find out if that needed to be permitted or not?
So the question was, if they have these events yearly with over 300 people there, and I think 3,000, I think they said it, do they need to be permitted? And I believe the clerk did answer that question. You want to answer that one more time, Ms. Stallings?
Mr. Mayor, if I could step in, that would be covered under a separate ordinance, under the special events ordinance, and based on the circumstances that were described, it would appear that would be requiring a special event permit, at least from what was described. Everything is a case by case and has to fit in the right parameters. But
And I think at last meeting too, I mentioned about when they have that, if they'll have volunteers directing people where to go or where not to go. And I know they nodded their heads, but a nod of the head is just a nod of the head. It's not something formal. So I don't know where we're at with that, because I think that would be a good idea. And I don't know how we throw that in there. But if you have people on location where, with, you know, constituents coming up and they don't know where to go, and I have somebody directing traffic, it's so much better. And I don't know if we're gonna, where we're at with that. I think that would be something that pretty much needs to be done, but I don't know if that's something you put in the writing or not, but it's a good idea, if nothing else.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's part of zoning, but
Sure.
maybe part of the special event permit.
that would be covered by a separate ordinance and would probably not be the best place to do it in part of these land use entitlements. But the Department of Community Affairs would
Okay.
have.
Well, as long as
have
it's on the
special
table
events.
somewhere, because obviously it's a good idea, and I know everybody agrees with that, but sometimes you agree with something, it doesn't come to fruition necessarily. So if we can remember that going forward, that would be great, because I think that would help out everything.
And although it's not a part of these items, as pointed out by Alderman Franco and Corporation Counsel Veenstra here, now that the petitioner is aware that there is a requirement for a permit when you have these large gatherings, at least they're aware of it, and we'll address that at a later date. But now you're aware of it, so now you got to do it, and it's got to be more than a nod of the head, as Alderman Franco pointed out. You got to, work with the clerk's office and work on getting those permits. And I think you said that was, if I'm not mistaken, that's sometime in October, this event?
Labor Day.
Labor Day? Oh, Labor Day. Okay, gotcha. All right, so continue. Any other questions from the council? Alderman Lesh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Alderman Seville and staff, for working through the details on this. Just a quick question. How big is that parking lot going to be? Because I know that the drawings that came with the plans originally were sort of a smaller portion than the lot that is available.
So the current parking lot is 123 spaces. They technically only need 99 with the sanctuary, although they do, again, have big events where they have a lot of people. So the addition, which will be built with the parking lot expansion, which will be built with Phase 1 addition, will add another 36 parking spaces, so they'll have a total of 159.
Is that going to cover the whole grassy area?
No. If you look at the final plan, they have 6 acres. It's not a big portion.
I just didn't know if it changed in the discussions.
No, it
to
hasn't
cover
changed.
And then, so the lighting for that is still going to be the same as well for that parking spot?
Correct.
Okay.
They're not showing lighting right now. They don't need lighting. If they do, it has to meet our photometrics.
Okay. The only other thing, just as it probably pertains to item 0256, is that in making that motion, we should probably also consider the recommendations by the Planning and Zoning Commission that say that the parking lot's in Phase 2, where I see the amendment that Alderman Seville says Phase 1, so we should also strike that, in my opinion.
I believe it's uploaded in the Legistar under the final plan, the new conditions.
It is, but there's also the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission,
Sure.
which says Phase 2.
Sure.
So we should probably strike that.
Okay.
No
Any
further
other-
questions, Mr.
any
Mayor.
other
Thank you.
Any other question, any other, Alderman? No, all right. Any other points you'd like to make, Mr. Seaven?
No.
All right. At this point, there's been a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The ordinance is adopted. Madam Clerk, you read the next item?
240255, a resolution approving a revision to the final plat for Sri Shrudi Sababa Manor subdivision located at 1101 Foreign Lane.
So moved.
There's been a motion
Second.
by Alderman Franco, seconded by Alderman Smith. We've talked about this issue already, so if there's no questions or comments, Madam Clerk, you call the roll.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. Read the next item, Madam Clerk.
Twenty-four zero two five six, a resolution approving a revision to the final plan for Sri Shirdi Sababa Manor subdivision located at 1101 Foreign Lane for a religious institution.
Been a motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Before we go on and entertain these motions, I believe this is the item where we have to add those additional requirements, as pointed out by Mr. Sieben. I believe there was a motion made by Alderman Seville, and if we do a friendly motion, it's just a matter, it's not a roll call, it's just a voice vote.
You can just do a voice vote to do the amendment.
All right.
Second.
There's been a motion by Alderman Seville, second by Alderman Franco. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so those three items that were identified that Mr. Sieben pointed out were agreed to by the petitioner, and issues that need to be addressed to ensure that the neighbors could also quietly enjoy their properties are included. So now that that friendly amendment has been allowed to be added to this amendment, is there a motion for the item itself? There's been a motion made by Alderman Smith,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Franco for the item itself, including the friendly amendment, adding the additional two items. I believe there was a question, Alderman Lash. You had a question? I see
Thank you,
your-
Mr.
saw your
Mayor.
finger up.
Yeah, no, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I was just going over the idea,
So you don't have a question?
removing the future parking lot built with Phase 2 fully curbed. And
Counsel?
What the alderman is identifying is one of the recommendations that was originally made by the Planning and Zoning Commission, that the future parking lot that would be built in Phase 2 would be fully curved. When this came out of the Planning and Zoning Commission, that's when the parking lot was intended to be built as part of Phase 2. So their recommendation at that time is still the recommendation at that time. What the City Council did today with respect to putting the parking lot in Phase 1, that would supersede that recommendation. So the amendment that Alderman Seville offered and which the council approved is going to be what's controlling, not the original recommendation for the plan.
And I believe that recommendation which which Alderman Seville made a motion for, and there's a friendly amendment, everybody agreed, did include the streets and curbs in Phase 1. All right, so disregard that other thing. So, all right, so let's go, so now we're back. We got a motion and a second for the item itself based on the three amendments. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. Madam Clerk, call the next item.
240257, an ordinance vacating a city easement on the property located at 1101 Foreign Lane.
So, second.
Been a motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Are there any questions or discussions on this item? There being no questions or discussions, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderwoman Garza?
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos?
Yes.
Alderman Donnell?
Yes.
Alderman Franco?
Yes.
Alderman Seville?
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver?
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith?
Yes.
Alderman Bug?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade?
Yes.
Alderman Lash?
Yes.
Alderman Warman?
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The ordinance is adopted. Read the next item.
240551, a resolution requesting approval to purchase CCTV cameras and equipment for a forensics laboratory for the Aurora Police Department using funds received from the Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services
So moved.
Technology and
Second.
Equipment Program.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garza. Is there a motion, there's a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussions on this item? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
No.
Alderman Donnell.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug. Alderwoman Bade.
Yes.
Alderman Lash.
No.
Alderman Warman.
Yes.
9 yes, 2 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. There a motion to suspend, that concludes unfinished business. We're going to go on a new business. There a motion to suspend the rules, consider items or new business. Motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by
Second.
Alderman Franco. Will the clerk please read the roll?
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yes.
Alderman Donnell.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade.
Yes.
Alderman Lash.
Yes.
Alderman Warman.
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Read the first item of our new business, Madam Clerk.
240581, an ordinance correcting and replacing O24-041 to establish the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Advisory Board under Chapter 2, Article 6 of the Code of
So
Ordinances.
moved. Second.
There's a motion made by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Garza. Are there any questions or discussions on this ordinance? There being none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yes.
Alderman Donnell.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade.
Yes.
Alderman Lash.
Yes.
Alderman Warman.
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The ordinance is adopted. So just so we are all on the same page, we had just voted to add a new commission to the city of Aurora, which will include the representation of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, to an advisory board that will represent that portion of our population. So let's give those folks a round of applause. I want to make sure we continue to look out and have every person who's in the city of Aurora have a voice with what's going on in our community. So that's a huge feat. Madam Clerk, read the next item.
240582, a resolution authorizing the destruction of certain closed session meeting audio recordings.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Franco. Are there any questions or discussions on this item? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yes.
Alderman Donnell.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade.
Yes.
Alderman Lash.
Yes.
Alderman Warman.
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The resolution is approved. Madam Clerk, read the last item under new business.
240590, a resolution appointing Dan Barrero as the new alderperson of the First Ward for the city of Aurora.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion made by Alderman Garza, second by Alderman Franco. Any questions or discussions on this item? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yes.
Alderman Donnell.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
No.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade.
Yes.
Alderman Lash.
Yes.
Alderman Warman.
Yes.
10 yes, 1 no.
Motion carries. Resolution is approved. Mr. Barrero, thank you, brother. You will be installed as the new alderman in the city of Aurora. Man, now, let me just say, after over 30 years of service to our community, it'll be a pleasure and an honor to see you join us up here on the city council, brother. Look forward to having the ceremony and swearing you in and, you know, and bringing you aboard with us, man. So one more time, a round of applause for Dan Barrero. All right, there are no reports that have to be talked about tonight. The
Motion
city
to pay
council.
the
There's
bills.
been a motion to pay the bills by
Second.
Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Garza. Are there any questions or discussions on the bills?
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yeah, just briefly, Finance, page 5, number 5, our payment to the U.S. Census Bureau. Is it just one lump sum, or how are they breaking that out?
It is one lump sum, excuse me, Chris Minnick, Chief Financial Officer for the city. It is one lump sum that's required at the beginning of the process. Then there will be a reconciliation process as we go through and as they perform the actual duties. If there are more dollars required, we will need to bring that forward at those particular points in time as their services unwind. But if we do not consume that entire payment, the difference would be refunded to us.
I'd rather the money be in our bank account, us earning interest than the federal government's, but if that's the way they do it, that's the way they do it.
I agree. We don't have a lot of options if we want to avail ourselves of the service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussions on any items on the bills? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderwoman Garza.
Yes.
Alderman Masiacos.
Yes.
Alderman Donnell.
Yes.
Alderman Franco.
Yes.
Alderman Seville.
Yes.
Alderman Tolliver.
Yes.
Alderwoman Smith.
Yes.
Alderman Bug.
Yes.
Alderwoman Bade.
Yes.
Alderman Lash.
Yes.
Alderman Warman.
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. The bills are approved. There is no need for a closed session. There's been a motion by Alderman Smith to adjourn, second by Alderman Franco. All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is hereby adjourned.